talk to your customers, talk to people and see, try to understand what's the problem they're experiencing, how they're solving it. Because now nobody wants like new things. Like you and I, we're not like eager to change everything every day. We probably go by and it's totally fine with whatever problem we have. So there has to be a strong reason to change, and we need to learn from people experiencing that problem why would they change.
Hi, I'm Lorne Rubis. Welcome to Culture Talks, where we introduce emerging leaders, next gen leaders that are solving and addressing the world's nastiest problems and making greater workplaces. And today we're delighted to have Javier Cardona from Mexico City, the founder and CEO of iDoc. And it's the first company leader and founder and fellow we've had on here from outside of North America. So we're thrilled to have you, Javier. Welcome to Culture Talks. Great to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Hey, yeah, we're just going to talk about you and your leadership journey, and there's and the iDoc 3, and find out a little bit more about the peaks and valleys and just what you want to share with all of our great audience and listeners and viewers. So I just want to start out a little bit about just having you talk about, last time we talked a little bit about just on a personal basis. What's it like in Mexico City today? Like, I mean, just standing back away from iDoc 3 and Javier for a minute, because I was really struck by how you talked about what was going on. So what's it feel like in Mexico City today with all the stuff that's going on in the world? What are you observing?
Well, interesting question. Well, this city, it's an amazing place. It's a multicultural place. It doesn't matter what is happening in the world. You will see people smiling in the streets, dancing, having some tacos, probably some tequilas or some mezcales in a bar. So this is a very unique place, full of joy, full of passion, full of color. It's amazing. It's amazing. It depends how much informed are you relate to how stressed are you. So most of the people here just living their lives and not being affected, at least momentarily, from what is going on in the world. So this is a
Happy to hear that.
this
Yeah, more joy. Don't you think we need that? We need that feeling of love and passion and joy and color, and maybe being too
yeah,
informed sometimes is a little bit painful, especially today, right?
yes it is, and I was born in Colombia, now living in Mexico for a couple of years, and this is one of the things that I love about Mexico. It's like, I mean, you might hear news about Mexico, you might hear a lot of stuff about Mexico, but when you're here, it's totally different. It's totally different. It's a wonderful place. Culturally speaking, it's gorgeous. But I mean, I can understand why it's like so many people coming to Mexico every day.
Yeah. Hey, one thing, just a quick detour, because I think it gives a little bit more of a background to the conversation we're going to have. You mentioned that there was quite an emerging kind of like, for example, influence, like Chinese EV vehicles out there are very prominent in Mexico. You wouldn't
Mhm.
see that in a lot of cities in North. We wouldn't see any in the cities of North America, right? But in Mexico, that's a prevalent part of the way the country is engaged on a worldwide basis, right? You're seeing all these Chinese EV cars, and yeah. So just a little bit of your observation there. I thought it was so interesting that you noticed that there's quite a big influence in Mexico City on the whole Chinese marketplace, right?
Well, yeah, that's really interesting, and I can understand why. Mexico is the largest economy for the Spanish-speaking world. It's next to the U.S., and all these U.S.-China tensions have Mexico in the middle, and it might be seen as a backdoor from China to the U.S. But it's also interesting how, I mean, where I live, there are many Chinese headquarter companies and not headquarters but offices in Mexico City. Sometimes like 9 a.m. you're walking down the street, there's many Chinese people around, and yeah, I mean, you get to know many things that I didn't even know about China and Chinese products here in Mexico. I was reading that like 6 or 7 out of every 10 cars, new cars that also are sold in Mexico, are from China. Brands that I didn't even know. Actually, I was interviewing a sales guy for our company like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and he was telling me that he had some experience in selling cars and what brand, and I didn't know the brand. It turns out it was a Chinese brand that is probably the second or third largest brand. I only know BYD. That's the only thing I know about that. But yeah, it's Mexico attracts a lot of things from every corner of the world. So we also have like Koreans here with all their automobiles as well, but people from India, people from everywhere coming to Mexico. It's a large market that is also next to the US, so it's inevitable.
Thanks for that context, Javier, because most of our listeners they're worldwide, but most of our listeners are North American, and a lot of people just don't get to Mexico City, right? And so, just given that background, but so I'm going to talk about you, Javier. But iDoc3, 10 years now, you've been the founder and CEO of iDoc3, and everybody can go on the website and find out. Well, give me your kind of like. Just give our audience an overview of iDoc3, what it does, why it's such a great concept, and how it's making headway in the marketplace.
Sure. Well, it's a really interesting story. I mean, access to healthcare is tough anywhere, even in developing markets, right? But especially in emerging markets like Latin America, it's even tougher. Government plans don't work that well. If you have some money, you will pay for a private insurance. But in the end, everything is about access. Of the people in emerging markets, I would say 95% of them will have really, really hard times accessing any kind of service or system. So what we decided to do at our company, the Undoc3, is basically create an app where employers offer to their employees different ways to access healthcare. But not only healthcare, but also to learn how to be healthier, to learn how to achieve some health goals, to learn how to be more active and things like that. So basically on our app, you can have instant consultation with different specialties, but also you can track your physical activity. You can learn how to achieve one goal a week, from how to control your thoughts to actually eat a healthier breakfast, things like that. So what we actually have become, it's kind of a health and wellness application for companies so their employees have better access, are healthier, but also companies benefit from it. How do they benefit? They reduce absenteeism, they increase retention, culture. Our product is also available for the relatives of the employees. So it's getting some parts of the problem solved, and it's been a great success, I would say.
I'm so proud of you and the work that you've done. And so, like, you're an unreasonable company for a reason, that you've taken a very hard issue and you're making it, you're doing something about it. What I'm struck at when I look at the numbers on your app, not only in terms of increased usage, your approval rating, like your rating of team members, is like ridiculous. Like it's like 4.98 or something like that out of 5. Why
Yeah.
is that? Why do employees love coming to the app and then use it all the time? Because I was a chief people officer of a large financial institution, and our employee assistance program was really underutilized. We put a lot of money into it, but it was like some ridiculously low number of usage, and we just felt like we're getting. But in your case, you've got this massive involvement, engagement, return. Why is that? What did you do?
Well, I would say three reasons. The first one is like we actually work really hard to get the product used. So we have a team within our company that will work with our customers to actually have activation and usage. Why? Because we know if you get to use the product once, you'll come back. And the second reason is actually we kind of redefine or how you usually access healthcare, just general physician kind of consultation, and see what if we don't have all these thoughts that we always have about consultations, that we'll have to wait, that we'll have to pay, we don't know how much, things like that. So we kind of design a product in a way that you access instantly. So you just get your phone, couple of taps, and you're talking to a doctor. And that's like a real wow factor. So that's why our activation team works really hard to get people to use the service once, because once they do it, it's like the first time that you actually have, like, calling your wife. It's like actually getting to talk to a doctor in a minute or two. It's amazing. And then we also kind of work, and that's a third one, with things that actually matter. So how do we get people engaged? We step track their physical activity. And then we all love to compete, even against ourselves, to improve every day and be able to measure that, to create these healthy competitions within companies. So you get to coffee and then people start talking about, oh, I'm going to win you. I'm working more than you and things like that. It becomes really engaging. And that's a third component. So we get people to use it. It's totally different from whatever they had before, even from a private insurance kind of service. Some companies, you mentioned employee assistance programs. I was really curious and went on search a little bit about that. And those programs were created after the Second World War. And
Wow.
from that time, DuPont or 3M were the first two companies that had that kind of program. And in 60 or 70 years, they haven't changed that much. You still need to call a line. It's like a service from the 70s or 80s. And so we're doing all of that and many more things uh, on our service, and it's working, and people love it. I'll tell you an example. One third of all our mental health kind of consultations or therapies that we do are related with anxiety, but doing a double click, you'll find financial stress. So what we're doing now, we just launched 2 weeks ago a financial advisor assisted by AI, but it will help you understand how your credit card works, how you can build a budget for your household and things like that. So we're always trying to look for the real reason behind the problem and put it on the app, and so more people can access it. So people keep coming back, and they our model for I don't know how for how long, but we convince companies to pay for it because they also see results. So it's like win-win situation. Employees are not paying anything, companies are getting results, we are getting results, and we just know that we have to keep evolving. Not like employee assistance programs from the 70s. We in 5 years, in 10 years, it will be totally different and up to date in terms of technology.
You must be clairvoyant on adding the financial stress component, considering what's happening in the world today.
Yeah, it's gonna be quite busy this week.
You know, and listening to you, what I love what you've done, and here's what we're trying to teach as part of the, or share as part of this, is that you've taken out as much negative friction out of the experience between the
Exactly.
user and the provider, right? So
That
it's like instant access, easy access, one click away. And then you've added gamification in there to make it interesting, to make it fun, to make it challenging. So there's this repetitive kind of self advancement going on. How fantastic is that? And you put so much emphasis on that first click, that welcome, that being part of. I mean, I just want to compliment you on your design thinking behind that. That's just outstanding.
you just said the word I was looking for, but I didn't get it. It was friction. Yeah, we're trying to remove as much friction as possible, and we've been called kind of crazy for doing that because usually you have to make an appointment and then wait half an hour before your appointment, and then your doctor will be half an hour or even an hour late, and
Right.
that's normal. And that's the kind of things that we think like with the technology that we have today, we have to be able to come up with something 10 times, 100 times better than that. And yeah, we just keep evolving. And just one thing, just talk to your customers. I mean, we listen our users, like just listen to them. Like who's satisfied? It doesn't matter if you're in Norway, Spain, or in the US, nobody's satisfied how healthcare works.
That's exactly right. It is absolutely. And I can tell you from a Canadian perspective and American perspective, where I spend most of my time in those two countries, that is definitely the case. So to have this advanced thinking coming out of the core of Mexico City, and I know other people are doing things as well, Javier, not just you, but you're doing some really important breakthrough stuff. And I want to just get your thoughts on this absolute emergence of mental wellness into the fabric of organization culture. Like, what's your observation, how that's increasing, how we need to be proactive about it as leaders and thinking about it, and what your observation is in running this company around what you're seeing out there in organizations.
Well, that's a topic that is very close to my heart. We see almost a third of everything that we do is related to mental health. Demand just keeps increasing and increasing. We've been running this company for 10 years, and when the pandemic hit, many things changed, right? So telemedicine was a viable, not only business, but a way to operate and access healthcare. And suddenly, mental health pandemic also came up, right? People start talking about it. I'm really glad that happened because pre-pandemic times, it wasn't that often that people talk about mental health. So
Right.
that's in my case when everything started. And I see a lot of interest in companies to offering some sort of service related to mental health. The main one and the one that tends to work even better is the one where companies are actually worried about improving people's life, the health status of their employees. And the second one for economic reasons. I mean, of course, this has a huge impact. Sometimes we all just need to talk, to be listened to share our concerns. And what also it's, in my opinion, personal opinion, increasing all this situation is probably the amount of dopamine hits that we are exposed every day because of what we're doing with our social networks and phones and things like that. So it's totally new. So what I see on the mental health perspective is that being able to offer people help anytime, anywhere is been super well received and it's been a huge impact. We actually measure every time we help someone, we kind of classify them. Like either we save a life because we do save lives sometimes, very close to commit suicide and help come to these kind of services. We change a life because we transform some sort of a life or something inside you, or we just deliver peace of mind. And that's really also very, very important. So by doing that, we kind of focus on trying to identify which kind of attention is the one that we are providing. How can we do it the best way possible? But also, how can we use some other tools, right? Because there are content that can be of great use, some other groups that you might join, things like that. And we are also kind of building and adding most collateral services to our platform so we can prescribe this kind of tools. So let's say you come because you have some anxiety, and we created a program that is called How to Control Your Thoughts, and a program that takes 5 minutes for 6 days, every day, 5 minutes, only 5 minutes, because we know the spam attention is that low nowadays. But it will give you some one or two tools to improve whatever you're doing. So it's not only about talking to a professional, but also teaching how can you use some other tools that are out there and try to be more resilient.
That's fantastic. I love the microdosing kind of, sort of in bite size and sort of on 5 minutes a day, right? Just sort of building the habit and that kind of stuff. Javier, you and I had a conversation before and we talked a little bit about purpose. And, I know what the platform does, right? The business you're in around providing, but it sounds like your deeper purpose is around advancing people's peace of mind, their sense of well being, their ability to live richer and more complete lives. So you have this, it feels like you have got this much deeper purpose. Can you talk about that? Like, what's the underlying why underneath iDoc?
Well, that's a great question. I mean, I've been always curious why is it that we kind of tackle some easy problems first and then we leave the harder problems for later. Meaning that we were able to get an Uber in seconds, like 10 years ago, but we still are not able to actually deliver healthcare that way. I mean, we were able to book a flight 20 years ago online, but still we're not able to do some essential things online yet. So that's what my purpose is about. I'm passionate about technology, what technology can do for people. It's been 25 years doing that. And I became kind of obsessed about what technology can do for healthcare. It's not about just having the best AI, machine to do X kind of whatever exam you might think of. It's about simple things. How can these simple improvements deliver a huge impact? Huge impact. I mean, we're covering 200,000 employees. I love to go to companies and see what they're doing. And I love to hear when they say, like, my son is using the app. My wife is doing this. My mom, 72 years old, is doing that on the service. So that's amazing because you're not only providing access, but also even in emerging economies, avoiding them to spend some money. I mean, when you need to go to the doctor, you have to spend money, and when you don't have to go, you save that.
Yeah.
So the impact is huge, and that's my deeper purpose and passion is how can we get this kind of, not my company, but this kind of services into the hands of everywhere. Just to give you a number, in Latin America, 5% of the people are able to afford private insurance. So the other 95 just have to live with whatever is available. That's my deeper purposes. How can we work for that 95% and improve their their lives a bit after a bit after a bit?
You know what, Javier? When you get to 1 million customers, we promise that we're gonna have a shot at tequila together, okay? Because
Yeah,
you're, you know, at the rate you're going. I hope that happens. Like, I hope you 10x this thing. That 95% is waiting for you, and it's such an important thing. And you're
I mean,
also inspiration to the rest of providers in North America and elsewhere, in Europe and elsewhere, Javier. That we need more of this kind of thinking. Anyway, thank you for that. How the heck does your background? People can go on LinkedIn and find out more about you and that kind of stuff. But you were in telecom for a while. And what made you wake up one day and decide to take this on? I mean, this is not an easy. This is not an easy problem. This is a hard, like you say, Javier. We leave the hardest problems to later sometime, right? We procrastinate. We can get an Uber or an Amazon delivery in a day or a second or a minute, but this is hard. What you wake up, how do you decide you're going to take this on?
well, it's a funny story. Long story short, I spent the first 10 years of my career in telco. Then I moved to the Middle East, and I was responsible for some territories. One of them was Kenya. So I was in Nairobi, and I had a medical need. And I wasn't sure that I was going to go to the doctor in Nairobi. I didn't want to go to the hospital in Nairobi. Didn't feel like the best possible option. So back in 2013, I went online and said, like, there has to be a way that I can talk to a doctor online from the States, whatever it costs, 100, 200, 500. I mean, I didn't want to go to the hospital in Nairobi. So it didn't exist. It was impossible. And that was the moment when I became kind of obsessed, like, why am I able to book my hotel room, to travel from A to B, from do many things, and I cannot talk to the doctor when I need it, uh, wherever I am. And that's how Undo Tres was born, basically. Let's do something. It's been a long journey, and it's going to be a even longer journey. I'm committed to this purpose my entire life. But that's how that the story behind it.
That's a
And it
wonderful.
was, yeah, and it was really easy to convince people to join us. I mean, like, that's a real problem. Even it's really hard. Health systems are really hard, and how the money flows is really not conventional. But yeah, it's evolving, and it's fun anyway.
So you and I talked a little bit also about how important it is to have a clear set of values that drive the behavior of people in a company, that there's a set of beliefs and values, and founders have a huge, obviously massive influence on those values, right? So if in the spirit of healthcare, if we were going to do an autopsy on, in the best sense of the words, of Javier, and what values would tumble out of you? What values would come forward that these are the deep beliefs that Javier has around the deeply held values that you want to see in every employee in the company?
Well, the first one is transparency. I mean, like, transparency will help us in many different ways. Will help us learn, will help us to fix problems, will help us in many ways. So I love talking about problems or celebrating wins, but being transparent about the things, basically, whatever it is. So that's one of the values, and that's probably translating into communication. How can this is a safe place when we all can talk and raise problems that we may have, or even celebrate our wins. So communication and transparency it's really important. We have a value in our company. It's called We Are Lean, and we actually are lean. I mean, we try to do as much as we can with the less resources that we have, with little resources, and that scarcity mentality will also help you find different ways. I mean, otherwise you end up with similar solutions and things like that. So it's also probably because of where I come from. These kind of countries have a lot of limitations, and that's a way that we're probably built in. So we have to solve everything with whatever we have. So that's another one that's very me, but it's also very within the company. So we are lean. And the other one that I will highlight is we talk to our customers. We talk to our customers all the time, all the time. I mean, just before this conversation, I was having a meeting with a customer that had an idea and wanted to talk to us because she knows that she can talk ideas to us and she knows that we will find a way to help her. And the idea she had, it's an idea that we actually can replicate to another 100 customers and maybe even become a new revenue stream. So talk to customers, listen to customers. It's a great thing to do, but it's a value that, or for me, it's a value. We need to talk to them. We need to see them. We need to listen to them. And that's the fourth maybe that come first to my mind.
That's great. Those are I love all of them. I love the way you talk about using constraints as an advantage, that by thinking lean, by not thinking of it as not having enough, but having a way to get somewhere with what you have. And the idea of this deep listening that you have and curiosity and being transparent and open. Now, I know that all none of us leaders are perfect. You know, we have this belief about great, not perfect leaders, right? It's impossible to be perfect. When you were most disappointed around your leadership, what causes that to happen? When do you think you're not at your best?
Probably delegation. We all should delegate more, even if we're not sure. I mean, I was probably 2 years ago in San Diego visiting this museum, the aircraft, the ships museum. I don't know, warships museum.
Yep.
And one of the guys there, it was a veteran, was telling me a story that when he was on those ships, by the end of the Second World War, nobody was older than 20 or 22 or 23 years running those ships. And that was a great lesson for me because he was like telling me like you have to be able to delegate and to just empower young people to just let them have responsibilities that they will figure out as probably you did when you were that young. I've been working a lot on that because delegating is not easy. And I always kind of remember that story from that old man that was very wise. And yeah, that's
Great stuff.
something that I would love to improve every day.
Why do you think that you hang on to things and control things more than you need to sometimes, Javier? Do you think is it fear or is it just kind of this sometimes this chases many founders, right?
Yeah.
Because founders, you know, had to bring this thing up from nothing to something and all of a sudden they can't do it all themselves, right? And so now there's this tension about letting go and you've got all these resource constraints and then you gotta what gets in the way, do you think?
I think it's two things. One is obviously fear of letting go because you've done it, and then the way you do it is the way you think it should be done because probably work for you and things like that. But that's actually fear of probably there's another way that can be done. That's one. And the other one is that as companies grow, you don't know, it's really hard to identify when is the right time to start letting go some of the responsibilities. And you end up doing things that probably I'm still doing things that I shouldn't be doing, but it's just we didn't have the time or I don't know why, but as we grow, it's really hard. My co-founder is way better doing this, and he's like every other month telling me we should stop and let's talk. What can we do different? Where can we change some of the stuff? So those are probably the two reasons because things change really fast.
Hey, so I have this exercise I take people through around saying that each one of us is a conversation at a dinner table. Somebody goes home and leaves the company today and has a conversation about you. And what would you like them to hear them saying at the dinner table about Javier? What would you love to have? Somebody's going to have a glass of wine and they're going to say, here's what I think about the CEO of our company. What would you like them to be saying about you?
Well, it's probably related to transparency. I would like to hear them saying that they kind of trusted me or trust me. I would like to hear like that they were able to learn something, not even from me, but from all the things that we do. Like learning is really important for me. And probably that I listen,
Yeah.
that I actually listen. Sometimes it's really hard. Sometimes it's really hard that I love this kind of Jeff Bezos always saying that he talks last because then if he talks before that, he might influence what other people are going to say. And I would like to hear that I work really hard to do that. And the last thing probably is that they had fun. I mean,
Mhm.
I will start my team. Today with everything that is going on, there are some customers calling us saying like, we're worried we're going to get hit by this or that. We export 80% of what we do to the US and will be hit by this amount of tariff or whatever it is. And it still is a problem, but then we talk to the team and we all talk and even laugh. It's like, okay, let's work out something. So it has to be fun, and I would like to hear that
Yeah.
they had fun.
Yeah, and I love that because that almost goes full circle for when you how you describe sometime just the Mexican city culture of joy and time for passion and color and fun and laughter. I mean, it's a serious world we live in. At the same time, we have to make room and space for that. And I think for you to be intentional about that and for people to say that you're transparent and you care and you help people learn, but you're also fun to be around. I think that's a wonderful dinner table conversation about you, and I'm sure that's the way a lot of people do. But we're not perfect human beings, right? I mean, it's hard to be a leader, and it's
Yeah, it's
constant
really
work.
hard.
It is. It's really hard. There's some leader out there right now that's sitting listening to this, Javier, are going to be listening to it, and they're going to be they're thinking about starting something and they're not sure. What advice would you give them to the courage to start? What because there are probably days when you said, "Why the hell am I doing this? Why did I start this?" So, what would advice would you give them going forward?
Well, just to start with something, like make the first move. That's the most important thing. You don't know, we don't know what we don't know, and until we do the first move, we'll be able to start learning. And that's one thing I would say, like jump into the water. That's like we already have the no, so we'll see what happens if we can get the yes or whatever we're looking for. That's one thing, and the other one that it's really important is like really fall in love with the problem you're trying to solve. Solution will change a lot, will vary because of the technology, because of the whatever reason
Right.
external, but the problem will never change until you try to fix it. So that's the two most important things that I would advise. And the other one is like, again, it's probably the third, fourth time that I've said this, but talk to your customers. Talk to your customers. Talk to people and see, try to understand what's the problem they're experiencing, how they're solving it. Because now nobody wants like new things. Like you and I, we're not like eager to change everything every day. We probably go by and it's totally fine with whatever problem we have. So there has to be a strong reason to change, and we need to learn from people experiencing that problem why would they change. Change is really tough. Probably, well, we talked about change during the last conversation, and we have to focus on that first, because otherwise we can build many things and probably might be a total failure if nobody uses it.
Yeah, so true. And it's hard. Like you say, though, the solutions will vary and emerge, but the problem, if you could define it and then understand the why, and you've really nailed that and stick to that with incredible focus and determination and resilience. The problem is until you're going to continue to advance the problem. That's where the sweet spot is, and that is incredible. And when you can, so if you were to kind of um, if you do a wrap up to our conversation around thinking about, let me fast forward you first. Let's go 30 years out from now, and you're looking back. What's your fondest wish for you personally, for the people you love, and for the company?
Oof, 30 years, tough
30 years.
question. I think would go with something similar to we were just talking about. Print still will be around. The problem we're trying to solve is still some way or the other will be around. So I hope that our company and what we do is still is bringing joy and solutions to people. You said it's funny. You mentioned the 1 million mark for us to have the tequila. We are targeting somewhere around 450 million people. That's the native Spanish speakers in our region, including the 50 or 60 that are in the US. So 30 years from now, I would love to be not my company, not only my company or us, but that 80 or something like that percent of that number, of that 450, have a solution for the problem like we're trying to offer, like that is normal as it is today to do an Uber than to have a consultation or like those kind of things. I would love to see in 30 years that is no longer that is no longer this burden. And it doesn't matter if it's Undoctres or whatever company or whatever the name it is. As we were used to see TV 20 years ago and probably in a totally different way that when color TV came out. Yeah, that it's what I love to see the most in 30 years. Like this is going to be like a standard kind of solution. Doesn't matter the name.
450 million plus 50, 60 other Spanish speaking people in North America. Fantastic. What a great, that community, like all communities, we deserve this. This is part of our foundations. The essence, I mean, it's foundational to who we are, is to be able to be healthy and to be well and to live with joy and happiness. I have to
Yeah.
ask you, because I know you're a technologist in addition to a problem solver, as part of being a problem solver, how are you engaging your company in AI today?
Well, AI keep us awake, right? I mean, it's like I'm a very curious person. I have a great co-founder. AI is on almost every conversation today between us. There are many things we are already implementing because it's actually at this point helping us be more efficient. We're not doing any AI facing customers yet,
It's more back
but
end.
it's more back end. It's a lot of things that I mean, I'm amazed to see what we can do today, like with electronic medical records, data analytics, and even helping or assisting physicians doing summaries and things like that. It's amazing. I mean, we're kind of reducing 20 or 25% of their time per consultation,
Wow.
things like that. So that's amazing. I'm really positive about what's going to happen. So many things will change in terms that some jobs will migrate to another kind of jobs as it happened in the industrial revolution and things like that. But I think this time for real, we're in the edge of the next phase of human evolution, and it's a privilege to be alive at this time. This is going to be amazing. I'm really positive about it. Like in general terms, some people will suffer, but it's what happens with any technological change. But I'm really positive about it. Super curious. We are experiencing on many different flanks what we can do, and also what actually AI today can do. And it's going to be a fun time. We'll see many fun things going on, also with looking at it with some respect,
Yes.
because it's not like it's going to solve everything, and it's going to take some time to actually work for many things. Curiosity, but respect as well.
So, Javier, in a wrap up kind of way, I know that hopefully a couple of your customers, or more than a couple, will listen to this. What do you want to say to them?
Well, to my customers, first thing that I would say is like I'm honored to serve them. It's always an honor to serve them just because they care. I mean, if you are one of our customers, it's because you care. You actually are trying to go the extra mile to better serve your employees, to protect them. So huge thank you, but also a lot of respect.
Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. Keep going, please.
No, not just that. A lot of respect because they could easily say, "No, I'm okay with whatever I have already. I'm not trying this." So we're still in the early adopter phase, and that's very brave from them.
Javier, what would you like to say as the final thing to all the people that have helped you build your company, your partner and co-founder, and the rest of the people that on your team that may listen to it? What do you want to say to them?
Well, many things. It's like we as a team are so deeply connected, and we all love solving the problem that we're trying to solve. We share all the time what end users are saying about the service, and it's just because of their work. I mean, from the one that is designing a button on the app, or the one that is actually taking a consultation, or the one that is taking a support call, or the one doing a payroll or whatever. I mean, we are all a team working as a team together to get this done and to get this out there. And it's a lot of thanks for their commitment. Thanks for having fun with us building this amazing thing, and also not only that, but to be able to learn. We have to learn and unlearn many things. We have to do that during the process, and they're just enjoying, and I'm enjoying it too. And we are all, I think it's working because we are all enjoying it. And we all know that it's not an easy journey, but it's about getting it done, and it will take time, but we're gonna be an amazing company down the road. Down the road.
Yes, you are. I want this to come across in the most genuine, sincere way I can ask you. I don't speak Spanish, not yet. Is there something you'd like to just say in Spanish that maybe might say it in a way that you'd like to just say to the audience? That I just want to invite you to talk to them for a sec.
Wow, un agradecimiento enorme por poder compartir la forma en la que vemos nosotros el mundo y los problemas y cómo queremos aportar nuestro granito de arena, darlos a que todos los días podamos vivir un mundo mejor. Y creo que para cerrar, actitud positiva a todas las adversidades. Mañana será otro día siempre. Siempre es lo único que no tiene
Thank you,
tomar.
Javi.
Thank you, Lauren. It's been a very interesting.
I'm so honored to be connected to you through the Unreasonable Group. Proud of what you're doing. Keep paving the way. Be a 10x better. And you know what? There's 500 million people waiting for you. So
Yeah.
here's a spiritual nudge and a supportive nudge from in a small way from me. And thank you, Javi. Hope to talk to you again soon. Thanks and bye for now.
Thank you, Lauren. It's been a pleasure, and thank you for your kindness.
And your kindness as well. Bye for now, Javi.